Welcome to another Ultimate Survival Unity tutorial, and in this video we're going to be drinking from a bottle and then filling up that bottle again. Exciting stuff. Check this out, here's my bottle. It's got a little bit of water in there in this half-litre bottle, and you consume it and that goes down to 0. Nice. We try to drink again and it tells us the bottle's empty. Now we're going to fill up our bottle from this little lake. Pushing R on my keyboard, you can see now that it's partially refilled and then eventually gets full, and now it can't fill it anymore, and we can drink from our bottle, and this half-litre bottle now goes down. Exciting stuff. So sit back, enjoy, and I'll see you in a second. Inside Unity you can see that I've made this little lake here, looks lovely, and I've put a Water Pro daytime on there, this little prefab that you get with standard Unity, and I've added a mesh collider, and I've made my mesh collider convex, made it a trigger, making sure that it's got the water plane mesh in there in this little mesh slot. Now whenever I go to my mesh collider I can actually raycast off it, because otherwise this water didn't have a mesh collider, I couldn't raycast. There are things you can do without needing a collider, but I'm not intelligent enough to be able to handle that at 2 o'clock in the morning or wherever it was when I was doing this video. So now let's go into Tools, Ultimate Survival, Item Management. I'm going to show you these extra properties that I made. And I made these 3 properties, they're all floats, makes it nice and easy. Container amount, container capacity, and consume amount. This is how much we're going to have currently in our container. This is the maximum amount our container can carry, and here is how much we use from our container every time we drink from it. And I'm actually using it every time we drink from it and filling it up as well. So now we go to the item manager and I click on the consumable. I duplicated the water bottle, and this is how the water bottle was, nothing's changed there, and I've called it refillable bottle. Now I changed the icon to make it look a little bit different, and I also made a new world object which I'll show you in a second, which basically is just a bottle model that I got for free off the asset store. Now here I've added in the 3 new floats: container capacity, container amount, and consume amount. So my maximum capacity in my container is 0.5, that's half a litre. I drink 100 mils every time. Well, here it is, every time I use it, and currently I've only got 100 mils in my container. That's so when we do the test I just drink once and show you that it's empty. I don't have to click and there. I don't have to keep clicking drink. My teeth are falling out. So here we go. We've got A, and we've got the curlies for number 3, which is saying 0, 1, 2, 3. So a container capacity litre bottle containing, for container amount, litres of water. Lovely. That's it. That's all you had to do in there. Fantastic stuff. And they still stack, so if you wanted you could say that a refillable bottle isn't stackable. Makes a little bit more sense. You could have it stackable, but basically in the scheme of things in survival games, if your bottle's refillable then it doesn't tend to stack. Okay. Now popping over into my mail player, on the look route and the FP route, I've made here a refillable bottle. Let me just delete him. I'll show you what I did. So I'm grabbing, let's grab the Bone Club and click duplicate. Now I'm going to call it 14 refillable bottle, and I don't actually need an FP animator for myself. You probably would, because you want your water bottle to scoop down into the water. So if I remove this component and I remove FP motion and I remove the FP melee, we're going to add our own script here in a second, and make sure that your audio source doesn't actually have an audio clip in there, and it's not set to play on awake, and it's not set to loop. Good, lovely. Okay, so when you open up the refillable bottle, and then let's just make him visible so we can see him, otherwise it'd make it a little bit difficult trying to arrange things. So here he is holding this big giant bone, and we'll get rid of that bone in a second. but I'm finding my, where's my prefab? Here's my bottle prefab. So I grab my bottle and I put him here, and I wonder if I can just grab copy component and then paste component values. Yeah, okay, let's get rid of that bone club. And that didn't work at all, did it? So I pasted in the values of that and it's down at the bottom there. Great, that didn't work. So let's arrange, oops, there you go, there you go. Obviously you'll have time and you'll do this properly with a correct model for your need, but I think for me that's not bad. It's holding that bottle quite well. Don't drop it. Make sure that you set it to first person, otherwise it would look a little bit weird and your bottle will be floating further away from you. Okay, so there's my refillable bottle. I don't need to see him anymore, and we're going to add in a script here, and that script, if I go into my scripts folder, you can see here FP water script. And all I did was right click, click create, click C# script, and FP water, so, without the underscore obviously, but I've already got FP water, so there, I just made my FP water and we edited that in the editor. So let's just delete that there. Now we're going to be editing a couple of different files. We're going to be editing, we're going to be obviously this one that we're making. We're going to need to edit this FP manager script that sits on the FP root. Basically we're going to turn a private variable into a public one. I know it's very naughty, but we're going to do it. And then we're also going to edit, if I go into the in-game GUI, canvas, Windows, item inspector, we're going to edit this item inspector script as well, so that when we consume, we're going to drink from our refillable container and not just destroy the entire container. So first things first, let's pop into FP root and edit this FP manager script. Okay, down about line 47, where it might be in yours, we're going to turn this private into a public. So first let's just do hide in inspector, otherwise it'll be visible, and now we'll say public. That's it. That's all we had to do. Lovely. Okay, job's a good one. Now let's pop into our FP water script that we made. Okay, here we are in the FP water script that I made, and I'm using the Unity system and Unity engine, and I'm using the ultimate survival.input system so that I can detect when I push the R key, and I'm also using the GUI system so that we can show the message on the left hand side that says if our bottle is being refilled or if it's full. And it's the class here, FP water, and it inherits FP object. We do this so that we can actually set which item we are grabbing from the item manager. So first of all, we're just going to declare our variables, and here we've got the private for the input manager, and that's basically using this so we can grab our key later. And here are the values for the raycast. We're going to be using the world camera to get the vector position and vector rotation. So here we've got here private camera, and we've serialized it so that we can get it, drag and drop it in the inspector. Once again, we've got another serialized field, and this time it's the layer mask. And this is so we can say our raycast is only going to affect certain layers. In my case, I only want to affect the water layer. And now we've got the FP manager. You don't really need to put this as a serialized field, but I've done that just in case you have more than one FP manager in your scene. You probably shouldn't have more than one. That'll be weird. So I've got here FP manager private, and down in the start you'll see here that actually when it starts, it looks for the parent and it finds the first parent object that has the FP manager attached to it, and then it will just fill it in this variable. Now audio, I want to play some audio whenever we're filling up our bottle, so we've got here an audio source and we've got here the sound player. I've just stolen this from one of Ultimate Survival's other files. As you can see, it says attack audio. Now down here I've got my variables for the item, and that is the equipped object, and can we use it, the refill amount, and the maximum refill. So as I said, we know what this does because it's quite looking to see, do you have anything in the FP Manager variable? If you don't, then it's going to look for it itself. Here we're checking to make sure we've got the input manager, and here we've got our equipped object, and I've just done a little bit of shorthand because I've got bored typing this in, and it takes from the FP Manager the equipped object, and it finds the corresponding item that you have equipped. In my case, it's going to be refillable bottle. Now I only need to use this once, so I'm putting this in the start. We're checking to see, has this item that we've equipped got the properties that we need. Now if you don't do that and you just assume that it's got properties, you will kick an error if the object doesn't have them. So it's always good to make sure that the object does actually have the properties that you're going to use later on in your script. So here we said, does it have these properties? Yep, it does. So we can actually get the value for consume amount, and we can get the value for container capacity. These two values shouldn't actually change really. So again, I've put them in the start so I can just grab them once. Now in the update, we're going to do the magic. So in the update, we've got get button down, reload, and as you can see, I'm finally making use of Ultimate Survival's own input manager rather than saying, are you pushing R on your keyboard? Yep, I know. I got a lot of messages, people asking me why I don't actually use Ultimate Survival's inbuilt logic, and I'm starting to use it again. Okay, good point. So here we've got our array, and we're using this is the world camera that we set before, and we're getting our raycast for hit info. So here's our out that we're going to be filling up with what we've hit. This is the raycast magic. So we've got our vector 3 shenanigans from the world camera. We're outputting the hit details. We're saying it's 2 distance, and we're using the layer mask that we set in the serialized field. Now if you don't hit anything, then just return out of here. Once again, you check in if we can use the object, and if you can use it, then we're going to set the refill amount. Actually, we've got that twice, so you don't need the refill amount again because you've already got the refill amount there. So let's just delete that. There you go. A little bit of editing. You've got var current amount, and then you've got the equipped object get property value container amount. Now that one does change because every time you fill it up or drink from it, it does actually change. There you go, good point. So now we check that the current amount of current is equal to or greater than the maximum that you can refill, and if it is, it means that it's full, in which case you say it's already full, and then you return out the script. Now down here we're going to fill up our bottle if it's not full, because don't forget, if it was full, you hit there and it didn't get any further. So if it's not full, then we increment, well, we add our current amount by itself and the refill amount. We're going to clamp it so that it can't go below 0 and it can't go above the maximum, and then we're going to save that value here for the container amount, and you've got to set that it's a item property float rather than just a normal float. And there's the current amount that you passed in through here. I see the difference here. When you're doing the calculations, you do the calculations with the current, but when you're passing it through, it doesn't have that current, it's just passing through the float. And then we got the audio that we play, and it's randomly, even though I've only got one audio file in mine. And here we've got at the end where we say if we're filling it up, we give it a bit of a messaging so it looks nice. So we say if our container amount is equal to or greater than the maximum that you can fill, should only ever be equal to, but we put greater than just in case anything weird happens. We say that it's full, and we get out. You don't really need to get out because you're at the end. Or it tells us that it's partially refilled, and then we get out. Again, you don't really need to put this return at the end, but there you go, guys. Let's click save. That's it. I hope you didn't fall asleep for all of that, But it's quite interesting and straightforward, isn't it? You're basically just going through this and checking. We hit the water with our raycast, and then we check to see, does the item that we're holding, is it refillable? Is it full? No, if it's not full, we add some more liquid in it. Okay, here we are inside the item inspector under on consumed clicked. Look down around 208 and it's around here. So here we're going to be adding a little bit of code for our item that we're holding, which is pretty much the same thing that we did in the FP water. We're checking, can we actually use this item as a refillable container? And here it is. We've got full can refill this time rather than can use. No real reason. I just, change the name of it. Makes more sense in this one. So it's exactly the same things that we had in the other one, that it has can consume, and it has the consume amount, it has the container amount, and it has the container capacity. Check to see here, it says has property and not get property value. Now we're going to check to make sure that it's empty, and if it's empty, then we're going to exit out of here because we can't drink from an empty bottle. So now we're saying, is this true, and is the container amount, which is what we currently have in the container, should have actually called that current amount, but I don't know, container amount, flow.current is equal to or less than, just in case anything weird happened, 0. And then we give the message that it's empty and we get out. Now if it's not, we can still do stuff, and it goes through and it has no change here on the previous, so it still has the can consume, and then it changes your stats and everything based on what Ultimate Survival previously had. But around here you'll see this, if item.current state equals 1, and I've put this little green pointy as a little reminder of where to find it on my one. Now I've put an else before their if, so that I can add an if statement just before it. Now again we're checking that can refill is true, and if it is true, well, now I'm checking to see that, well, it's the opposite before, that the current amount, well, from the container is equal to or greater than 0. And actually it should be greater than 0, shouldn't it? It shouldn't be equal to that, greater than. So it's greater than 0. Now if it's greater than 0, well, we've got here the float for consume amount, the float for refill, and a var for current amount. Pretty much like we had in the other one, but this time I've put the floats and the vars together. So we're going to go through here and say, instead of before where it was a plus equals, now it's the current amount minus the consume amount. If you look at this and it's a bit confusing, basically whenever you see something like minus equals or plus equals, it is just the same as doing that. So it's a lot easier just to do minus equals. Basically now we've got the stats. I'm going to put this to 1 decimal place because I had a bit of a bug where when it got down to the last bit it was drinking and it was having some weird 0.999999999 kind of number turning up. So in my case I've put here a rounded of the current value, so I've got 1 decimal place here, and then I'm clamping it again to 0 and to the max. Now the max is just saying to the maximum, because the one you really worry about here is 0, that he can't go below 0 whenever you're consuming. Now we're setting the value. Now we've got the new value, we need to set it, and after we've set our value, let's update the description, because now the item in the item manager would have the new value for the container amount, and we can get the description updated to say how much is actually in that container. So that's why you saw it was going from 0.4 down to 0.3 down to 0.2. If you don't do something like this or refresh that GUI, well, you'll be drinking and it will only update every time you manually click to refresh to review that item in the inspector. Now people, that is it for in the coding side. As you can see, it was very quick and easy coding today. A little bit boring listening to me talk, but it was fun to do. Let's pop back inside Unity. So here we are back inside Unity, and if I pop down to my refillable bottle and we look at our audio source, yep, it's empty, good, and we find the script. Well, before we find the script, I forgot to show you my prefab that I made. So here is my prefab of the bottle, And you see here that I've put in the item pickup script that you get with Ultimate Survival, and I just put the default name, which is the same as we had in the item manager, refillable bottle. It's on interact and not on walkover, in its default amount 1, and I just had the normal pickup noise when you pick it up. And in the item manager, when I went to my consumable here, you can see that the world object is actually, if I click on you, this guy here. Hello, there you go. See, I just dragged him into world object as opposed to having just that empty bag. Okay, let's pop back into our refillable bottle. Let's find our script. Let's drag over our script here. And now, again, we need to put refillable bottle. Always make sure that it's spelled exactly the same way, otherwise you will get strange messages. The world camera, we need to find this fellow here and drag him in. He lived under the look root, world camera root. Layer mask, let's set you to water. FB manager, don't have to drag him in, you can drag him in if you want, he lives in FP root. Audio source, that is going to be the same thing that you're currently on, because it's going to look for this guy here. Again, you could do this with script, we don't need to look at it, we could say get the audio source that lives on the same object that we're in, the same transform that we're living in here, well not transform but the same game object that we're living in, grab the audio source. And now we've got sounds, click, oh not 10, that'd be a lot of sounds. If you do have 10 sounds, it would be interesting. And I found this one that I just got for free off the internet, and you'll see this pitch range. I'm just going to reduce my pitch range down to 0.6 to 1.1 and make it a little bit louder each time. So my range for the volume is from 0.7 to 0.75. Lovely. That makes it a little bit more interesting, doesn't it? There we go. Now if I click save, oh, one last thing, if I go to the inventory controller, you'll see that I did already put a refillable bottle in my hotbar items. And people keep asking where to find this. It is inside mail player, and down you'll see inventory controller, and here you can define what you start with in your inventory, and here you can define what you start with in your hotbar. If you don't want anything in there, you can just delete them all, so don't worry. Okay, click save, click play. Let's hope nothing exploded. So here's my water bottle. Consume. There you go. Try to drink any more. I can't, it tells me it's empty. Here's the old bottle. Let's consume that. Does that still work? Yep, and it disappeared. Good. Now if I go over to the river and I click R with something else in my inventory, it doesn't do anything. But if I equip my bottle and now click R, yay, it's refilling. Nice. Now it's full. Yep, can't fill any more. And let's try to drink. Yay! Lovely. Alright guys, I hope you enjoyed it. It was very simple, but I have been getting a load of requests for this, and I mean a load of requests, so I hope that you guys enjoyed it. And guys, if you do like these videos and you want to see more, phone up with your friends, knock on your neighbours' doors, run up to random people in the street and spread the word, because we do need to hit that 10k subs! Well, it would be nice, wouldn't it? So if you do like it, click it. Till next time. And if you want to see more in the Ultimate Survival series, click on the links on the left side of your screen. And if you like these videos and you want to see more, click on that big juicy subscribe button, and down below there's a magic bell that when you click it, it lets you know when there's a new video out.